Hey guys, Nimrod here, and welcome back to another Grand Theft Auto Online video. And in today's video, we'll be covering the easiest and fastest updated way to complete the Pacific Standard Heist. If you remember, you used to have to own the Las Lagunas garage, and you would have a Karen Kuruma in that garage, and you'd go through the heist just normally, and after you got the bikes, you blow up the bikes, reset the heist, and you go and be able to go inside your garage and get that. But Rockstar has updated and altered so many things with this heist, not only with the Kuruma, but you're also unable to stand on the tables with your RPG equipped to scare the crowd and keep your crowd control meter up. You now have to actually shoot and aim like the way it was intended. So Rockstar completely has revamped this heist, which really actually surprised me because it's such an old way of making money. But I guess they know how we are, and they know that we will keep doing the old methods that they have provided us. But the start of the heist will be the same no matter what. When we start, we will go ahead and we'll send one player down into the vault to collect the money, and that is so that only one player as opposed to two has to worry about losing money when they are shot. So when they're doing that, the other three players will be up and they'll be working the crowd and keeping the crowd like at bay or whatever. So then after that is done and all four players have to regroup up at the top in the lobby, from there you will have the three players, including the one with the money, stay inside the bank, and you will send one player, and we actually end up sending Silenced out. You will send one player out to get rid of all the cops and clear the way for the other players. After the first cop cars around the door are eliminated and those cops are gone, the three players, including the money bag player and the two other players, will run down the stairs and they will run back up the stairs. And then from there, their only mission is to shoot and keep the cops away from the bank and keep them out of the bank, while the other player, who I will refer to as the helicopter player, he runs and he will go to the bikes. Now, after he gets to the bikes, he will blow up the bikes and kill himself at the same time, which from there will trigger the heist to restart. So far, not too much is different, usually kind of the same as the previous method, but from there, the helicopter player will then get on a bike and follow a very specific path to get a helicopter. Now, the other three players, including the money bag player, will stay where the bikes were, and the money bag player will actually stay in the little lot that the bikes were sitting at, while the other two players are out on the road shooting the cops and destroying the helicopters and all that stuff. We'll switch to the helicopter's player camera from here. This is the point of Silenced, of course, and he will follow a very specific path to get to the helicopter. He will actually be taking a helicopter from the roof of the police station, and he will stop at a point of an intersection right next to the police station, and he'll get off his bike and shoot some cops. You have to do this. That is mandatory, because what that does when you get off your bike and you shoot the cops, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 to 4, maybe 4 or 5 tops. I feel like the more you kill, the more likely it is to trigger. But killing those cops after getting off your bike actually triggers the helicopter to spawn on the roof of the police station. Now, the helicopter will either be a blue police helicopter or it will be a red medic helicopter. And for this, it doesn't really matter because they're both the exact same helicopter. They both hold all 4 players that we need. It's just a retexture of the helicopter, so it doesn't really matter. And he will then drive to the back, where the giant lot is, the 2 double gated doors are, and he will go and he will navigate up the stairs. And from there, what he will do is climb up one set of stairs and he'll jump over a barrier and go onto the next building. And make sure that when you're doing this, you are shooting the cops so that the cops are not killing you while you're climbing the ladder. I've seen people do that. They will get so far ahead of themselves because this process is working that they won't shoot the cops before they climb the ladders. And you have to make sure of that 3 different times because you're climbing 3 different ladders. So this player probably has the most responsibility because he has to do the right things to make sure that the helicopter actually spawns. And if not, I think you should just blow yourself up and restart the heist and try it again. We got it on our first try, which was really nice because we had very skilled players attending this event to get it done. So after he makes his way to the roof and gets in the helicopter, keep in mind, meanwhile, the other players at this time are shooting the cops over by the bike pickup. The money bag player is staying in that lot while the other 2 are shooting the cops and helicopters and all that stuff. But make sure you have communication obviously you need communication for this method, but make sure that when the helicopter player gets in the helicopter, he tells the other players, because here you see on screen now, the other players will then make their way to the adjacent roof where they will meet the helicopter player. So this is probably the only point in time where the Moneybag player should be shot. If the two other players didn't get all the cops, maybe they left one unconscious on the ground and he like shot, I don't know. But right here, a big part, very important, make sure that all of the helicopters are out of the sky. Make sure none of them are up anymore, because I've seen that as well. I've seen players forget to take down these helicopters, and then the helicopter player is unable to land, and then one of the other players dies, and it pisses all the other players off, and they don't want to do it anymore, and they don't join your party because they're little bitch boys. Whatever, doesn't matter. But make sure that the helicopter NPC cops are out of the way, and from there the pilot really has only the job left. Maybe one other player needs an RPG, and you'll see that upcoming. But the pilot then needs to fly to the checkpoints on the map, and when you get to the tunnel, he'll lower the helicopter, allowing one player to RPG the vehicles that are sitting there waiting, and that is so that you can actually get closer to the checkpoint, because for some reason this checkpoint is very sensitive and you have to get extremely close for it to trigger, and that's very annoying. Yeah, but I mean, small price to pay for a method that works this way. Depending on how you look at it, this method could actually be easier than the Kuruma, because you don't have to deal with cops at all. Yeah, you have to do a little bit more work, I'd say, at the beginning to get the helicopter, especially if you are the helicopter player. But the old method, you had to make sure that it spawned in the garage, and you never really could tell when it would and when it wouldn't. And then on top of that, you had to worry about getting spun out and doors breaking, and you don't have to worry about that with this method. The helicopter, you're up in the air, you're above all of the cops, so you don't really have anything to worry about. So make sure that the pilot is low enough to hit all of the checkpoints. You do have to keep in mind that you are being timed. You do have a timer. And one thing that's different about this method than the other method is the Kuruma method. If you took a certain route, you'd lose your wanted level completely. You wouldn't have to worry about cops. You could sit there and wait, and no cops would come up. You wouldn't even have stars at the top of your screen. This method, you won't lose your wanted level. You'll keep your cops, but as you see coming up here, we actually got out of the helicopter with enough time left, and no cops came. We had a nice little gap there, so that was nice. And you don't have to worry about blowing up, because I remember, depending on which path you took with the Kuruma, if you drove off the edge here, you'd worry about your Kuruma getting blown up, and it was hectic. So there are pros and cons of both methods. Doesn't really matter what the pros and cons are, because the other method doesn't work anymore. This is the easiest, the fastest, and the most efficient way to make the maximum amount of money on this heist. So pilot is following the checkpoints, and he just lands nicely next to the boat. All the players get out of the boat, and they will go and they will get into the dinghy and fly, or get in the dinghy and drive under the bridge, and that is it. From there, it's done. It's easy. You made maximum amount of money from this heist, which is really nice. I remember when this heist first came out, players were scrambling to find ways to get it done, and yeah, the Kuruma method was nice. That's the one I used. I remember for a while there was a glitch where you could replay the heist finale over and over again after doing the setups only once. I'm not too sure if that's patched. If that is not patched and you were still able to do that, that'd be pretty neat, especially with this method with the helicopter. I'm not too sure. I never did that method. I had other ways of making money at the time. So that is all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope it helped. And be sure to support the video with a like, as well as subscribe if you're in for more videos on Grand Theft Auto 5 news, DLC, and more.